welcome back. I'm Brittany.
I'm Jeff.
And we're at the Bull's Head doing an investigation.
In Cobleskill, New York.
Yep. And make sure to hit the subscribe button.
Like, comment, share. Tell your friends. Comment down below how great this is. Where we should do more of them.
Yes. Hey guys, so Jeff and I investigated the Bull's Head Inn, and there is so much history about the place that I wanted to give you guys a little bit of that history. It is pretty early in the morning. I am pretty tired. It's not the same day, but Freya had me up all night. Smokey's hitting the tripod, so if it's shaky, that's why. The investigation went by so quick, and we had a decent amount of time, but with how much we were doing, it just went by really quick that there wasn't enough time for me to do the information piece at the Bull's Head Inn. So I figured that I would do that here and piece that in. So the Bull's Head Inn was built on the property of 3 previous buildings in Cobleskill, New York. The first of those buildings were a log cabin that was in 1752 that was built by George Forster. And this was one of the first buildings that was ever constructed in Cobleskill. First murder on the property would happen when a Native American would be stabbed to death by another Native American. Now, that home would be burned to the ground during a raid under the command of Mohawk Chief Joseph Brant during the American Revolution in the Battle of Cobleskill on March 30th, 1778. Several of the neighboring homes would be lost as well. And not only would many of the retreating patriots end up being killed, they would also end up being scalped, which would also result in them being killed. That just seems like a terrible way to go. The next 2 buildings would be rebuilt and burned as well. These also happened during raids, and it's believed that many lost their lives during the fire. So when the townspeople rebuilt, Forster sold his tavern to Lambert Lawyer, and this was attacked during the 3rd raid in 1781, and it burned once again. The fires in each raid unfortunately had casualties both inside and outside of the building. And after the 3rd raid, the building had remained vacant until the Bull's Head Inn, as you see it today, was rebuilt by Seth Wakeman in 1802. So the first floor was built to be a private residence for Seth Wakeman and his family, with commercial opportunities upstairs. It was once even the Cobleskill Town Hall and a courthouse at one point. Bull's Head Inn became an inn and a tavern in the early 1800s, when there became a need for lodging due to the traveling merchants on the Lunenburg Turnpike between central New York and New York City. The Wakeman family still continued to have their private residence on the 1st floor, while they had their inn and the tavern being open for travelers on the 2nd. But then the Erie Canal was introduced, and this was introduced in 1838. Now, this completely bypassed Cobleskill, and there was no need to stop in this town anymore for the merchants, and this completely put the Wakemans out of business. So then in 1838, the Bull's Head Inn was bought by a man by the name of Charles Corter. I'm really bad with pronunciation. So he bought it, and he renamed it the Corter Mansion, and he lived there with him and his new wife, Lynn Wakeman. Charles was a businessman and industrialist. They had used it as a private residence. However, it's believed that the 3rd floor was used as a meeting area for the Freemasons. During the tour, I got a very not happy feeling, like right about here. Like I was very angry.
Hey.
I guess this used to be a Masonic temple?
Yeah, it was a meeting spot. Hold on.
I don't really... What is a... What? I know it's a religion.
Well, it's not religion, it's the Freemasons. I don't exactly know. It's like a society. I know it was originally a men's society. But it was like a secretive, but I don't want to misrepresent it. I don't want to represented. It was
the building of moral character and spiritual development through participation in society.
Yeah.
So it doesn't explain though why I would feel angry though. Maybe like woman being suppressed. I don't know.
That's probably it. Look at the curved ceiling in here.
Yeah, and then they have the like temples. Not temples.
Thrones.
Yeah, there's
two
of them.
There's a throne here, as indicated by where there's no green paint. And there's another one over there. And then per the current owner,
so
kind of make
maybe I felt like that because I'm a woman.
Could be.
So maybe it's because I'm not welcome up here.
It's a men's society, but there was benches that went all the way around this whole area that I guess were for the lesser Masons.
They also opened up their home to weddings, receptions, and parties. And the house was often referred to as the Quarter House. Now, Henrietta Quarter was actually proposed to in this house. And I guess back in the day when you were proposed to, first thing you would do when you were proposed to was you would make sure that the ring was a true diamond. So you would sign glass with the diamond because diamond would cut glass. Next thing you would do is you would sign your name in the house you were going to live in. So she actually took that ring and she signed it in the window, which is in the downstairs, what is now part of the dining area in the Bull's Head Inn, which I think is so cool. So we did find out a story about the reason why this specific room is called. That's not me. It is called the Henrietta. Was it Courtier? Or is it Courtier? It's Courtier, right? How do you pronounce that? Courtier?
Courtier? Yeah, I think it's Courtier.
Room. No, it might have been my. That's not me. Room. And apparently she was, when she got engaged, she etched her name with her ring in the window.
Let's see, unless you get the light.
Henrietta, if you're here, if you could touch the REM pod or one of the capsules, or maybe walk in front of that spirit box. It's not spirit box, it's a music box, sorry. I don't know if we have to go upstairs. It's in the bag.
No, it's actually in my back pocket.
So Charles Quarter actually died in the house on January 1st, 1879. And the house was then sold to John and Gracie Taylor Stacy in 1920. He was the last to use the property as a personal residence. They decided to keep their bedrooms as well as their living quarters on the first floor of the home. Gracie was born in 1873. And John wasn't her first husband. She was actually previously married to a man in 1898 who some considered was actually her true love. His name was Frank P. Wading. He was born in 1870 and they had 3 children together. Frank had suddenly died in 1905 and Gracie was left a widow taking care of 3 young children. So she just threw herself into the community and she got really involved in theater. Mr. John Stacy was born in 1886, and he enjoyed drinking. And it's believed that he actually suffered PTSD due to being in World War I, and he kind of used it as a self-medicating type thing. He'd use alcohol as a way to cope. They would get married, and they would go on to open the first theater in Cobleskill, which would be opened directly next to their home, and is still open today. You can go there. And despite her husband's fondness for drinking, Mrs. Stacy despised it. She was a prohibitionist. She was a strong member of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. Regardless, they made their marriage work, and they were together until their passing. John passed in 1960 at the age of 73, and Gracie passed in 1964, only a short 4 years later. After they passed away, the building was sold by their estate to Monte Allen. So he was the mayor of Cobleskill for a while, and he renovated it into a bar and a restaurant. Now, this wasn't just like a restaurant that you would go to in your normal average clothes. You had to get dressed up to go here. It was an upscale restaurant. And this was in 1966. Another owner, Bob Young, put a microbrewery. So in 1966, another owner, Bob Young, put a microbrewery in the corner of the new first floor bar, which just so happened to be the Stacy's bedroom. So this was kind of a smack in Mrs. Stacy's face, because she despised alcohol. And, I would find it a little hard to believe that with how involved in the community, like, Cobleskill is not a big town. It's not. And with how involved in the community Gracie was, I would find it really hard to believe that the mayor of the town had no idea Gracie, this woman who was so involved in the community, who, opened the first theater in Cobleskill, was so against drinking, and she passed, and they put their bar in her bedroom. But so they could be seen as a little disrespectful, but it was essentially the start of all of the spiritual activity at the Bull's Head Inn. It was kind of the thing that got everybody to notice. Now, several owners would come and go to run the inn and the tavern until the massive storm of Hurricane Irene. So I remember this Hurricane Irene, and I actually, when Hurricane Irene hit, I was living at home at the time, and I only lived 20 minutes from Cobleskill. So I actually went to Fonda Schools, which was only like 10 minutes from, 10-15 minutes. So I was like kind of smack dab in the middle between Cobleskill and Fonda. Fonda was underwater. Schoharie was underwater. Most of actually Schoharie, Valley was underwater. Cobleskill was pretty wrecked. So it wrecked the Bull's Head Inn pretty bad. And it put, I remember school opening, and they opened the first day of school. It was always on a Wednesday. First day of school opened, closed the next 2 days, and then reopened again, and then closed. My parents' house was up, we lived on basically on top of a mountain, essentially. So we were pretty safe from the flood. We did lose power, but we had a generator, so we were fine. But a lot of people, my friends, would send me pictures, and their houses were completely flooded. It did a ton of damage. Those of you that weren't around during that time, or you weren't in an area that affected. But the Bull's Head Inn definitely suffered the consequences, and it did end up back on the market. So that is when the current owners, Christopher and Mary Gilder, bought the Bull's Head Inn. Now, initially their idea was just to fix it, have it back up and running in a year. They got inside, like, Chris looked around and started like digging into things and realized he wanted to restore things. What initially started as a I'm gonna get this back up and running, like pretty quickly turned into a very big passion project. Still is to this day. They wanted to pay as much homage to as much history as possible, including pieces such as the bar. So the bar is no longer in the Stacy's bedroom though. They did move it, but it does look pretty similar to, like, there are attributes to the original bar, but they did move it out of the Stacy's bedroom, which I'm sure Gracie is pretty happy about. But they did go as far as using as much of the original nails as possible. Speaking of which, so as Chris was going through, he was finding some things that were essentially unusable, right? But he decided to keep things for people that would find them pretty cool. So this is a nail from the Bull's Head Inn from when it was built in 1802. And as we were leaving, he gave me this. So this is an original drink stir from when they opened the bar in the 60s. He said that when he was gutting the restaurant, he found 6. And now I have 1, and I think that's pretty cool. The Bull's Head Inn went and reopened in 2015, and the Cellar Tavern went and reopened in 2017. Guests and employees have had their own experiences with apparitions and strange occurrences, such as food and plates and utensils flying off the table, and people have seen a woman in a white gown moving across the central staircase and the upper and lower landing. Quite often, doors will slam and faucets will turn on and off by themselves. So while we were investigating, the owner had found an article. So I didn't even read this article until the next day. Going through the footage, some of the things that I had found in the article that he had sent me. So this is like no preconceived knowledge at all. Nothing he had told me, nothing that I had known, and it matched some of the things that we had come across. Spirit of a young girl. Because there is like another room here. So if anybody wants to talk to us, they can touch that. We have to be really careful when we step so we don't go through the ceiling.
Yeah, this is a old attic. Are you recording? Okay. Is there anybody who would like to speak with us up here? Here there's a lot of different uses for this area. Although more recently... Enough. Is there an issue with Brittany being up here because of its history with the Freemasons, which historically has been a men's society?
Agitated.
Oh, okay. Well, you might be agitated. Brittany did get a very strong feeling of anger. Is there anything major that ever happened up here? Any sort of event, a death? I don't exactly know what goes on in Freemasons meetings or Mason meetings, whatever they're called. Could you give us any sort of description of kind of what the meetings are about, what the Masons were about? I'm sure the definition of a Freemason between the 1800s and 2024 has changed.
Messenger,
Is there a messenger in here?
100%.
There's 100% a messenger in here? Does anybody that could be in here have any knowledge or anything like that of the previous fires that claimed this place? You know, this building's been rebuilt several times. First
year.
The first year? I don't think there was a fire the first year. Anything else? No? I mean, I know not so much on this floor, but we know that prior owners might not be so keen on there being a bar here. Is there any sort of entity up here that takes issue with that, or has taken issue? Nothing, huh? Can you give me any sort of reasoning on why Brittany got such a strong feeling of anger? Therefore what? Is there any, maybe, prior owners or family of prior owners that's in here? No, there's a lot of history in this.
You should run.
Huh, okay. Well, we're on the 3rd floor, so I don't think we're going to be running.
Get down.
Nah. No. We need information first. She's already down. She's not getting down any farther than that. Look, she's on the floor. Not me.
You.
Me or Brittany? Who? You gotta be more specific.
Options.
What are our options? Lay it on the table, baby. Select? Are you gonna select one of us? Hey, what was
Heard
that?
Smiling.
There should not be a lot of negativity here. The current owner and his wife have put a lot of time and money and effort into restoring this building. Trying to bring it back to how it was in its heyday.
Great.
Great? That's sarcasm? Yeah, great. We don't care.
Vehicle.
Can't make much out of that. Do you not like all the vehicles that go by in front now? Is there anything you can tell us about the history of the area? I mean, this global skills changed quite a bit between 1802 and 2024.
Dead.
Yep, there's a lot of people who are dead since then. Can you maybe tell us who is dead, who you're speaking of? It's pretty wild. Super old chimney, or what's left of one. This curved plaster ceiling. It's a very unique shaped room. Was this built solely for Freemason usage, or was there another intended purpose for this area? Is there maybe anybody that's stuck here for one reason or another? Perhaps somebody who was
Here's a
permanently attached to this building? It's seen many owners and many changes. It's seen wars. Can you give us any sort of sign? Something in particular? Maybe something a little more specific little more specific verbiage or phrasing. Maybe mess with a light. Or perhaps move something. Is there anything maybe you'd like to share that you haven't before, or something we should know, or something you'd like us to communicate with the living realm?
Get any specific feelings?
Not particularly. I think it's an interesting room though. It's very ornate to do a big curved ceiling like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that it had to have been built with some intentions beyond just an attic. You're not going to make a whole curved plaster ceiling like this for an attic. Perhaps they did it when they added the
like
masons.
all of the trim and stuff.
Yeah.
And he said that the in the far back is part of the original chimney.
Yeah.
That like column back there where Jeff is going into. Well, kind of going into.
There's not really much to go into.
I definitely felt like a strong, like, unwelcome vibe when I walked in here.
There's like a second door here. I mean, you can't close it because the sprinklers was added, but there's another door here.
Can't really see much. Like, completely just shut off.
Didn't record the last clip.
No!
At all?
No.
None of what they were just doing?
No, it just shut off. Completely just shut off. Okay, go ahead. Do it again. And test one of these cap holes if you are in here with us, or you can walk right in front of the music box. That's not okay.
Room.
Are you in the room with us?
Assertive.
Okay, so can you show us that you're here and step in front of that music box for us?
Goes to show you.
Okay, can you go to show me that you are here and step in front of that music box, please?
Sister.
It's super easy. Step right in front of it.
Invest or invent or invest.
We hear that this room is one of the most active rooms.
The U.S., the East.
Can you tell us your name?
Production.
Well, we are filming. Who are we speaking to?
Officer.
Okay, an officer like in the military? Officer who?
They don't offer.
They don't offer
Healing.
what? Healing?
Make something. Age of 12. Son.
Did you lose a son that was 12, or are you a 12-year-old boy? The word father came through before.
Target.
Well, then.
Sounded like it said makeshift target.
I know that this place was part of a raid before. Or you
Recently. Until recently.
Are you reliving the time of the raid?
Accused. Mistakes. Feel bad.
You feel bad in pertaining to the raids or the war?
Alive. Remember.
You remember being alive?
What's your name?
My name's Brittany. What's your name?
Backwards.
Backwards. What do you mean?
Lynchburg.
Lynchburg.
Missing. Missing seat.
Is there anything that you need to... So she's described as having long golden curls, wearing a white nightgown, and being 4 or 5 years old. She is said to have died in the raid fires, and it's believed because she was too scared to move. Tell us or why?
Youngest. Service. Government. Time for me.
Time for you to what?
Caution. Critical. Ramp.
How many are we speaking to?
Go with. Bold still or old still? I couldn't tell which. It sounded more like bold still though.
I'm not trying to be bold. I just would like to know how many we're speaking with.
Gotta be careful.
What do I have to be careful of? Or are you the one that has to be careful?
Make sense? There's something sense. It sounded like make sense though.
Okay, we're gonna wrap up in here. We're gonna go into a different room, okay?
Marcy?
Marcy? Is that your name? Marcy?
Don't be.
Do you not want us to go into another room?
It doesn't count.
What doesn't count?
Still don't plan or still no plan. Roadblock. Footprint. Jolted.
Okay, we're gonna go into the room across the hall. If you would
Good light.
If you would like, you're more than welcome to follow us over there and talk to us over there if you would like.
Things have been, or is something things have been.
Can you go in front of it again?
Stage fright.
Can you just walk in front of that one more time? It just did, come on.
Did you get, was it filming?
No, it wasn't.
You hear it on?
It wasn't filming, I took it off.
As I don't know.
Just like you just did. Can you walk back in front of it? One more time. Just like you just did. Right in front of the box. Just one step. One step will make that little music go off. Can you go back in front of it? Right back in front of it. What about the REM pod? Can you touch that? Let us know you want to talk. You're gonna have to touch it fully. Or you can touch the capples. Step back in front of the music box. It's like it's not fully convinced. It's like, no,
There's too much, there's too many people in here now. It knows it's being filmed. It sees us.
Almost like it doesn't know if you're watching. No, he doesn't. They don't know if they trust us yet.
I wouldn't trust us.
What? And yeah, that's right. I'm saying thank you.
We're trustworthy. We're nice people. We have no intentions of harming ghosts. Or ability to.
Okay, we're gonna go back into the room across the hall.
The golden room.
Yep, the gold room. If you would like to communicate with us. all you have to do is walk in front of the music box or touch this REM pod, okay? And we'll come back in, okay? So if she was a child, that would make perfect sense, because when I was in the red room, I felt as though I was talking to a child when I was like, it's okay, like you can step in front of the P&B, like, it's like step before the motion sensor, it's okay, take your time, like, you know, like we can walk out of the room. And like I just had the feeling like it was a child, but then I'm like, oh, like maybe it's because I'm a mom. Like maybe that's why. But maybe it was just a child energy that I was feeling. It could be either or. If anyone is here with us right now, can you sit at one of these chairs? Often something. You can catch one of these apples or the REM pod. Can you tell me your name? Miss. Someone touched this apple earlier. Who was that? Mrs. Stacy, are you here with us?
Sounds like I started trapped.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Thunder.
Thunder?
I thought it was thunder.
Can you step back in front of the music box? Can you walk back in front of that? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you, if you're Mrs. Stacy, can you walk in front of that? If you're Mr. Stacy, can you walk in front of that?
When you're watching this section and you see orbs, that wasn't an orb. I just watched a little piece of dust like float up and then it came down and floated around. Take pictures of it.
Maybe we can figure out who it is.
question?
Incoming?
Hey, can we ask questions?
What?
You want me to ask questions?
Yes.
Is this the Amazon? Is it connectable?
Hold on.
A hole? Ready?
Way too long.
Okay, you asked me. Is there something
Am I?
particular setting off the music box? Been set off a few times, not pointed this way, there was nobody walking by. No motion, no discernible motion. Could it be a former owner? Maybe just a resident? Somebody might have stayed at the inn?
I
back in the
don't.
day? I don't. You don't know? Could it be
Chance.
chance? Could it be even Native American? You know, just this home, this building has a bit of history with them. I know somebody was stabbed to death in this house. It was burned down multiple times. A lot of bad juju with it. When you set that off, give us a sign, anything, another one. Maybe even
We're
make the
in.
drum pod go off, we're in.
Other words.
In other words. I know that there's some real contention when the bar was constructed here. Due to one of the former owners being a prohibitionist. Is it maybe the light is too bright? It shouldn't affect that. She was the one that had it on the bar though.
Is this the room that the bar was initially in?
Yes.
We're right.
So if you recall the picture that's hanging back here in the hallway, the picture of that bar, the cage around the bar, is right where you're sitting. And basically you're sitting behind the bar.
Ah,
That picture was taken from this corner. The bar was off to the left, and I sit in, and the dining room extended back that way.
okay. So you were right. Alright. Well, that's
So
pointed
that
that way.
essentially means, yeah, it's pointing that way. So something's on the other side setting it off.
Right. And I'm over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't mark that one up to.
That's weird. So yes, the bar used to be up against that wall.
Okay. So yeah, you're right. But,
It's been set off before. It's gone off a lot in this room.
yeah, it does seem to have gone off more. in
This is
room.
the room that's gone off the most in.
It's interesting the location that it's in too, to be honest with you. I can tell you what I mean by that.
Yeah, I figured there's a meaning to that, but I was debating whether I ask now or wait a little bit.
It's up to you.
You want to
Oh,
know?
yeah, we can know.
Alright.
Okay, so there was a couple sitting at that table. And
See, that's weird because you're in there.
they were sitting in these chairs. And there was another couple sitting at this table, sitting in these chairs. And they were talking to each other and had some things on the table with dishes, silverware, whatever. And all of a sudden, there was a fork that was sitting on the table that ended up hitting the floor here. And the guy's like, huh, like confused because he didn't recall knocking the fork off. He was like, how did that happen? So like they're kind of like looking at, they were talking when it happened. Meanwhile, those people happened to be facing this way. He goes, the fork cleared the back of the chair. It actually went up and over.
Huh.
So it was happening right between these
Well,
two
that's
tables.
pretty wild right there, of not putting any ideas in our head, just happening it that way.
At that table, now I understand a glass could be slippery with condensation on the table, but a glass went just by itself. It just decided to just go off the table.
Huh.
Right there. It was like right between these tables is where those kinds of things have been happening.
Interesting. Well, that was a really peculiar spot for you to put that in then.
Well, I'm like 99%. Granted that I could be misremembering because it was almost 7 years ago now. But I'm like 99% sure that was where we were sitting when we came.
It was definitely down here, because I know we didn't go upstairs, I know we didn't go downstairs. And I know we didn't sit on that side, because I would remember the double fireplace, so it had to have been on the side.
And that's pointing at the table that you were sitting at, you think?
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
They agree.
You ready? You ready? Yeah?
Yeah.
I gotta turn it. It's a little loud for me. That's really going on?
That's probably.
Oh,
That
well, you
was-
hit that
that
one,
was me.
but you didn't hit the other one.
From the chair. I didn't hit that though.
Who is in this room with us?
That's that's really loud.
Oh, yeah.
It can block out without being heard.
What's your name?
Go.
Go where?
George.
Who's making the music box go off?
Ferguson. US. Mercy. Promise.
Can you let us know who we're talking to?
Quake. Friction.
Who just made the music box go off? Who stepped in front of that?
Watch.
Watch what?
Annual. Abducted. Bankrupt. Compartment. Stacy.
Is this Mrs. Stacy?
Trust me. Framed. Glass doors.
Is there anything you'd like to say?
Croak. Future.
We understand this is the room that you passed in. It's also the room that there was
Doors
once a
on.
bar and you were very unhappy about that.
Spells. X. That's enough.
Do you not like talking about it?
less wrapped.
Currently in the Cellar Tavern, which it was part of the original structure. Like it predated. It basically survived the numerous fires from the previous structures of the Bull's Head Inn, or the original structures that predated the Bull's Head Inn. We have the Run Pod, if anybody would like to touch it and let us know you're here.
Yes. Do this. Then we'll know you're here.
You can also speak to us through this, through the spirit box. Is anybody here with us right now? Hi. Can you tell us your names?
Evening. It's not like sounds like blood ghosts. Good evening.
I mean, I feel like back in the day, a lot of them would be.
Thanks, Jenna.
Well,
They're not how they used to be.
can you touch this Run Pod in front of us? How old are you? I thought it, yeah. Were you here when Colbiskill got raided in the war?
Are you a Native American? What happens in 19?
Where are we?
The Bull's Head Inn.
I mean, they could be talking about the cellar because they could have predated the cellar. So they could be confused by that.
This cellar is deeper and nicer, full of alcohol.
I like that they did the donations.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Well, that's you.
This was calibrated.
So this is the number, I think the number one place that Mrs. Stacy's seen.
Is this Sarah's?
Yeah. Mrs. Stacy, if you are doing that, can you step away from your music box for a minute, please? Can you step away from your music box for a moment? Thank you. Thank you. Now can you step back in front of it?
Does the opposite.
I mean, she's kind of listening.
Maybe we should have known the music boxes.
I mean, oh, yes, that's kind of the device. Or whatever.
What's actually going on? Really likes whatever's going on the stairs.
Can you tap the capel on the steps? I'm gonna have Jeff show you where the capel is.
Right here and there.
Can you tap one of those? She stopped.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's kind of like she was paying attention to you. Can you tap one of those? And she's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Mrs. Stacy, if that's you, can you tap one of the capels? They're right here. Can you tap them, please? See? They're very easy. All you do is touch them. Can you go ahead and touch one of them? That's just the counter reading.
Yeah.
I think she just really likes music box.
Probably really likes the song.
Can you touch the REM pod?
She didn't like that.
No, she didn't.
Get that thing the hell out of here. Otherwise I'm out. And she's gone.
She did not like that.
No.
Instant.
Look what you did. You ran the ghosts off. You had to pull out another piece of equipment and run them away. They probably thought that was like a ghost fumigator or something.
Okay, I took it away. Can you go back in front of the music box?
Well, I guess we spooked her.
Mrs. Stacy, if you're still here, can you walk right in front of that music box again?
I feel like that makes it weirder with how much it was going off and then it just stopped.
Yeah. Well, it stopped as soon as I brought it out. I was like, nope, I don't want that.
Must have went upstairs. Without hitting a cat ball.
Yeah.
Is there anybody up here this time? Anybody that might like to communicate with me before we leave? We're gonna wrap this up here, but I figured we'd take one more shot at the old Mason Lodge. Should say Mason Meeting Area. Anything you want to say? Got the spirit box right here, scanning through the frequencies. Anything? We just found out a little bit more information. I know somebody was brutally attacked here, maybe not in a specific area, but maybe you could tell me something about the person who was stabbed to death. From what I hear, it was a Native American. I know there is a good bit of violence that's happened here over the years. To leave, so if anybody wants to say something, get a better idea here. From the brown down was where the benches were, all the way around the perimeter of this room for the owner, and that was dating back to the Masonry days. I believe there was a wall that went across here, and the bench continued all the way around, but like I said, that was a throne, and that was a throne of sorts. I'll give you one more chance. Anything you'd like to say at all? Going? Maybe I'll check over here. There's a mirror.
Like I said, I grew up not far from Cobleskill. I went grocery shopping in Cobleskill. I actually lived in Cobleskill for a little while, like 3 years. I think like 3 years. I used to work in the Walmart, in the McDonald's in Cobleskill. I was a manager there. It's no longer there. The Walmart's still there, but the McDonald's isn't there. It's actually how I heard about the Bull's Head Inn, was because, you know, I was interested in the paranormal and stuff. So it's crazy. Jeff and I went and we sat at the table that I actually pointed the PMB at, the motion detector at, which is where, like, I had no idea what, like, when Chris was talking about the tables, I had no idea about those tables. No idea. And those are the ones that I chose to point at. And pretty positive that that one table was where Jeff and I sat when we went years ago in, like, it might have been 2018 at that point. It was either 2017 or 2018. It was winter time because it was really cold and there was snow on the ground, but it might have been after Christmas, but I'm not entirely sure. The other thing is I did do a solo investigation. I could have inserted it, but I didn't really see the point of inserting it because I didn't turn on the microphone. It was at the end of the night and I was really tired and I made a rookie mistake and I didn't turn on the microphone. But I guarantee you that I will not be making that mistake again, and I will triple check that I turned that on. I do want to talk about that really quick. So when I was down doing my solo investigation, which I really wish that I remembered to turn that on, the PMB went off. It was a 10-minute solo investigation, and the PMB went off for that 10 minutes consistently. So I have that footage, and it's just no sound. And Mrs. Stacy came through and it said Mrs. Stacy. It's just, I can't prove that it said Mrs. Stacy because there's no sound. And I asked where she was and it said behind me. And really, really wish I remembered. Trust me, I am kicking myself really hard right now. I do have more investigations. I promise I'll remember to turn on the microphone every time I record this time. Promise. But make sure you like this video and make sure you hit that subscribe button for me. And if you guys want me to go on more investigations, definitely make sure you do those two things and comment down below where you'd like to see me go. And if you're ever in the Cobleskill area, go check out the Bull's Head Inn. It is a restaurant, so you can go eat there. Definitely worth checking out. Until next time, love you guys. Bye.